Joffrey. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Where the group number 4 is conformed by Carlos Felix, Francisco Felix, Dana Vera, Joffrey Tomala, and Francis Loaiza. Well, during this discussion, each leader or circle member will present their work individually. After each presentation, the other members should ask questions, comments, or offer any information. First of all, we're gonna start with the illuminator.
Thanks, Francis. Okay, I'm going to present a real important symbol of about this section of the book from chapter 20, 23 to chapter 25. Okay, I think that the real important value that present in this part of the book is the prejudice that the Society of Macon, Alabama have by the importance of your color of the skin and your importance for the society. Like in the case of the Cunningham, they are discriminated only because they are a family that work in the camp. In other case, we can see the Tom Robinson, who is guilty about a crime that he don't do it. We can see that the prejudice in Macon is very intensive that, for example, the argument that present the Magellan Eagle and his father uh, is very basic and don't can demonstrate anything about the will of Tom Robinson. Up in the opposite side, we can see Atticus Fields that are the father of Jim and Scott, and he present a real argument about why Tom Robinson is not skilled. Okay, if it's necessary to describe Atticus Finch in one word, it's is uh, rare father because in compare with the fathers of the modern society, we can see a real difference about the values because the real purpose of Atticus Finch is not overprotect his children from the dangers of the society because his objective is teach them that they're in life you have to good you have to be good without prejudice and act uh, out of your own interest for make a good society and make a change. Uh, and the document say that it's necessary to describe a character that is interesting for you. And I select Majalaiwal because even she's the real guilty of the death of Tom Robinson. At the same time, she not is the culprit because the real responsible of the death is the society and the prejudice that they have. Uh, Principal, we have to say the juice is only make it by the persons that think that the black men don't have importance from the society, and this is the reason why they say that Tom Robinson is guilty. Magellan will only is responsible of cause the juice in the first time because she is responsible of the crime of having a possession by the black man. Okay, in the principal tone in this section of the book is have the real presence of uh, good and bad, good and evil, representing good or bad of the society, and they see that since a perspective of the white is good and the black is bad. And this is a real basic perspective of what can be a real society and in a community. But this is only in we this is only represented when we trying to see the importance of the characters, because in the under the real values that transmit this book, we can see a perspective of the society since great colors and a lot of emotion that we can we can understand like different just with uh, diverse with different perspective about the society. Okay, and the last task that I have is another any other element to consider motive, similarities, metaphors, author purpose, allusion, and conflict. Okay, I think that Harper Lee, the author of the novel, make a book that we can represent of so a novel that represent the USA in the period of the racism and inclusion. But in this case, he make a good job because uh, the children don't have a real perspective about the society, and they learn with all their experience and generate a new perspective. Okay, I think that the person that the chapter that seems very random in the book is Mr. Dolphus Raymond, because he's a man who doesn't possess a trace of racism, uh, but at the same time, he is influenced by the social presence of the society of the Macon community, because he acts like he always is drunk, and by this reason is what because why he act like he acts. And this is my opinion.
Okay, thank you so much, Francisco. That was a good explanation, very interesting. And I have a question for you also. Well, in some case, I have an idea, and I want to see your point of view. If it was okay that Atticus defend Tom Robinson.
I think that Atticus believe that he can prove that Tom Robinson don't is the real world, but at the same time he only know that the society don't permit don't make it real. But at the same time he believed that if he present the reason, the argument that Tom Robinson don't is guilty, he can present that argument for make a little change in the society and make a good future for his children.
Okay, thank you so much. Well, in it was beautiful. It was nice. Uh, Now we're going with the connector, who's gonna explain us.
Hi, let's go to connector about about between settings and in real life, like a school or city. In Macon, despite the discrimination that exists, for example, their scenarios are very similar to how they are today in our environment. First, you can see in the history that people nobody tends to discriminate either by like a kind like a colorful of your skin, something like that. And what about the connection that have depressions in the history to the real life, that they have the similarity aspect to the law that they employed. Let's go to a connection about connecting the IB concept with the history. Well, the relationship with the play with the IB concept that we can relate to this situation that happened with Jen and Scott when they tried to communicate with Atticus, so that between them they understood better a lot of situations that they were happening around them. How about characters in the text in my life? One of the most prominent people uh, who support Tom as in my social environment, right? We see the most people have the opinion that equals, that everything have equals and rights and the same opinions. This person is Atticus because he always asks to help to Tom. And the last, the history to other texts that I am read. I have been able to read some books that are connected to the discriminate. One of these that you can find is a history that's called El Dragón Sock, the Dragon Sock in English, something like that. He treated about that in this case, other dragons are superior to a little dragon, like that, something like that. But in the actually in the society, you can observe that the person sometimes discriminate people that have physical condition or race of skin color. But on the other hand, there are also people who fight with this discrimination that people suffers.
Thank you so much, Jofre. That was a nice explanation. Very good. Well, now we're going with someone. If someone have any question, any comment to have or to offer, Carlos. Okay, come on.
Geoffrey, I have a question. From your perspective, which one are the principal values that the IB program says that we must have that are represented in that story, in that section of the story?
Well, some IB concepts that you can find in this history is like um yeah, it's the something like a responsibility, and the other concept is, in especially, is the identity, because identity represent a people in the society.
Okay, thank you to both Carlos and Jofre well, Carlos giving the question and Jofre giving us a good explanation. And well, now we're going with the discussing directors.
Okay. What I found thinking about during this reading process was the complexity of the language that the novel uses. At first, I didn't realize some of the words that he was using to describe the situations. But meanwhile, I was researching the meaning of this and putting in context, I realized that this language helps someone to visualize the events in our head in order to understand the background situation, for example, the court. Now, and with this, we can try to identify clues that will help us later to foretell future events that could happen or could not happen. Now, I think that the author uses this mechanism specifically for this novel because due into the background, the historical background. Now, so then I select a passage from chapter 22 that explains the feelings about the children's. Now, why did I pick this passage and what did I think about this passage? Now, this passage shows the involvement of the feelings never experienced before about Jem and Scout in the court. The court says that Tom Robinson was guilty and the children feel impotence. So this was a new feeling that children have never experienced before. So I could evaluate more deeply specifically how Jem react. Now, how is Jem's personality? And this passage made me realize how situations are handled by two different personalities. Now, Scott and Jem are two different persons, and they handle the court situation in a different way. And Jem has a high mental control. No, Scout has a high mental control, and his feelings and behavior are different. And Jem still tries to fight against psychological forces that limit him to act in a certain way, as he did, and specify the passage. Thank you.
Well, I have a question that is, what are the most important ideas of this section? And in my case, while reading the novel, I found very interesting and important data that we can get in that time is that white men always have power, always have more power than a black man in every sense. What I mean with this is that a word of a white man is always highest than the word of a black man. There was a lot of racism in that time. Then one of the last questions we have is, what is one question will you ask to the author if she was in your literature circle? Well, that's a nice question, but we always know that the story, we all know what is the story about because we have been reading it for a long time, even though I know that the question might be something simple and typical. But I will ask the author the reason why he chose to make a novel of this subject. Why taking something that happened a long time ago? Why do choose a current issue? Why, such as labor exploitation, immigration, people who can't even have basic resources such as water and food? Why do he choose racism as a topic to be discussed?
Uh, Finally, as a discussion directors and during this evaluation, a possible close reading question that the teacher could ask us is, what could be a sustained interpretation about Atticus' role as a single parent during these passages, specifically the court and in the house?
Well, that was an incredible explanation. Does someone have any question, any comment to offer? Francisco, okay.
Okay, only for making or select a real conclusion of this presentation, I need to I need your answers about that question. What do you think that is the real culprit of Tom Robinson's death, a character, a society, an idealism. What do you think? What do you think?
I honestly think that it was the society, for a false accusation. John Robinson knew that wasn't true, but justice back then didn't care about that. They just care about the color, the Tom Robinson's color. So for that reason, was condemned under circumstantial evidence. So I think the society was the author of his suicide, trying to escape the jail.
It's okay. Thank you so much, both. Well, now we're going with the summarizer, who's Carlos. Carlos, come on.
Thanks. My objective and purpose for this discussion is to explain about what we are talking about. A summarizer is the person that do that, but I don't want that my explanation makes about this discussion boring, and for that I'm going to be very specific with what I'm going to talk. First, what is the setting of this section? I think that the principal places that this section of the book has are the jury, the house, and the school, and the gems room specifically. First, I think that there are some important events to the development and the growth of some characters and ideas that they have. First of all, I suppose that Tom is convicted and makes a feeling, give to everyone in the jury a feeling of victory for Bobby Will, and a loss and a loss for everyone that idealized the concept of win that jury, of that Tom Robinson be not guilty, and the jury think and understand that he's not guilty at all. I suppose that that is something that Jem understand, and for that, at the end of that chapter, I think that is 23, Jim has a reflection about that, and he understand about how if a lot of people, but not like the adults that are right there, become better people uh, in a value aspect. I am talking about. He understand it. The values that the people of that generation has are bad and have a very important aspect in which we are talking about racism. Racism is very presented, and the idea of that they don't understand that he's a good person, and that they think that only because he's a black person he has a reason to do it, or even if he, I'm talking about Tom Robinson, but if he doesn't has a reason to do that, he believes that he's superior than the girl in this case. Also, I think that is important to talk about the gratitude that Atticus received by the black people of the jury. I think that even if they don't win, there was a change, not big, not supreme and extreme, but there was a change. There was an idea uh, that grow and become an ideology that even if and not everyone at the society support you and your ideas, you must to do what you believe that you must do. In that case, Atticus act and make the what a witness suppose that a witness must do. But in this case, Atticus believe in Tom, and he make everything that he have in his power to make the jury to believe Tom was not guilty. After that, I think that there was a scout that she represent something that not everyone could see in her or his children. That is a growth in values and a reflection in the actions that you do at the past. In this case, Scout showed that he grew up with the idea to invite to Walter Jr. Cunningham, the one of the son of the Cunninghams, to the house, and that is evolution, a grow up of Scout as a character in this story, because she understand that even if they don't are rich or they have a high class and upper class in this society, she believes that everyone must be treated by their actions and who they are, not by the aspects or the etiquettes that the society has of them. And for the last, I want to explain the Scout reflection and persecution, about persecution of views and ideas of that her her teacher has about how Hitler, in this case, at the Second World, Hitler make a lot of bad things, and I am talking about the persecution of the Jews in this case. But Scout has a reflection about why her teacher thinks that the Jews are victims, but he repeat that action, that ideology, that someone is worse than you and you must be better than them, and you have the power to do whatever you want with them, and they could be inferior in an aspect of society that they could not even talk with you. That is the aspect. That is a hypocrisy in which the master and the teacher of Scout, the Scout teacher, thinks that the Jews are victims, but she do the same thing to the bad people. That is hypocrisy, and that is an idea that she is going to develop the chapter. And after that, I want to say that uh, Bob Ewell is going to make something worse. That is how the chapter ends. Why those events are important? Because those events make an important growth of develop an important growth of the characters. In this case, articles develop ideas and develop a lot of father instincts in which you don't must to fight. That is the natural ideas of Atticus. He don't want to fight. He's a pacifist, but even that he believes that the best case in which he could use everything that he knows and knowledge and everything that he has is to support his children and support the people that need him, and he done most to fight with everyone that attach him in a psychological or physical aspect. I forgot to mention that this is so important. Tom Robinson, mm, in at the chapter 24 was the death of Tom Robinson because the police officers think that Tom Robinson tried to escape from prison, and then the police officers shoot him and kill him with a lot of shoots. I suppose that there is an complex. I don't know why he want to escape. I don't know even if there was something that happened at the prison. I suppose that that is something that the next chapters are going to explain us. But now that is an aspect. Alexandra, Calpurnia, Atticus, and Scout understand that they learn that, and when they want to talk with Tom's family, that was a moment that give us the knowledge that you don't must to attack someone for only for egoist reasons. I think that the principal and the most important parts of the events that happen there are the non-opposite mood swings. There are a lot of feelings that are in the air. Everyone is thinking how he could do something different to change that part, and even if they don't do that, they feel that they are guilty about the Tom Robinson death, even if they do whatever in their power was. Alas, how did those events influence the plot of the characters involved? The growth, development of ideas, values, idealism. Everyone at the chapters, every character develop a new idea. Alexandra grow up and feel that not the etiquettes, not the money, not the value of the society is important. A little bit. California, Atticus, they feel that they are wealthy. Jem and Beagle swim naked at a swimming pool or a lake. And that is an idea that the summer ends and not everything is going to be stop. No, not everything is going to be equal at the future. Everything is change. Is in a constant change. I think that the growth of the children is important because Jem understand that the society is corrupt, and at the future, at the long future, there is maybe exists the possibility to have a change in everything that the laws represent, but at the future. Atticus say that he maybe not is going to live the not to see that change. I think that that is the knowledge that we earn at that part of the book. For the last question, what was the tone or mood of this section? I think that was the setting with topics. This section of the books have a lot of bad feelings, not like hate, more like guilty and feel embarrassed of what you do and feel a lot of things that even if you do something different, you could make something better. That also there it has feelings about I could improve my attitude to become a better person. Thanks.
Thank you, Carlos. That was a clear explanation and very interesting. Well, does someone have any question, any comment to offer, or more information? Well, I have a question for you, and it's very general, but I think that, do you think that life was fair for Tom Robinson?
I think that before the moment that he after no before that all of this case happens before that and the girls accuse him and say that he raped her, but I think that he was happy but not was fair because at that moment of history, at that context, the racism in the society was a lot, and even if you have are even if you are far from everyone, you need that to be with some people. You need to the society. You need something about the other people to survive, and for that reason, I think that they have connection with white people. And at that moment, that is a problem because the black people and the white people, at that moment, at that context of history, at that period of time, was not very good. Was not a very good moment at the time to be black and uh, be alone with a white man at the I don't know at the elevator. That is a context. I think that the white people think that they have power over them, over the black people, and they have the opportunity to make what they want with them. I think that not was fair, but was happy before. But maybe Tom Robinson could be happy before the moment that Mayela accused him. That.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I have that question because I'm not sure of the answer, but you make clear the answer. So thank you. Well, that's it. Thank you for seeing the video. I hope you enjoyed and you understand everything. Bye bye.